Hi, this is Noah with the Training Department. This is going to be a video tutorial on product-based deposit rules. Product-based deposit rules allow us to establish different deposits due depending on what inventory is in the customer's cart. So let's take a look at Admin Rules General Rule Sets, and let's click into Deposit Rules. And let's go ahead and add another deposit rule, and let's go ahead and put it above Apply Deposit Override. Now that's important. The order in which these rules appear affects the way the system makes its calculations, so make sure that Apply Deposit Override is always at the bottom of your deposit rules. So let's go ahead and click into this menu, and let's add Set Deposit with Item. And let's go ahead and say 75% if the customer adds sample product 1 or 2 to their cart. Now let's say they have to have at least 2, so either one of each or 2 of one of them or more, in order to trigger this deposit rule. And let's also say that it has to be $400 or more worth of these particular items in order to trigger this deposit rule. So let's go ahead and submit this and start to place a quick test order. Now we can add another one of these, and just to make sure, let's go to the payment screen to try to see what happens with our deposit rule there. It shouldn't trigger our new deposit rule because the value is under $400, but let's just double check. Okay, it's still applying a 50% deposit requirement, as it should, so let's go back into the cart. And let's go ahead and take this down to 1 and add sample product 2 also to our cart, and that should trigger the new rule. And we can skip straight to the payment screen from here. Okay, $300 is 75% of $400, so this is working correctly. So let's go ahead and remember that order number. It's going to come in handy later in this video. And let's go back to Admin, Rules, General Rule Sets, Deposit Rules. And then let's go ahead and add another rule. And once again, we need to make sure to put it above Apply Deposit Override. And let's add deposit with item here. And let's go ahead and say we're going to add $100 if somebody puts sample product 3 in their cart. And we'll leave minimum count at 1, so just one of those products will be enough to trigger this additional deposit rule, and minimum value at 0. And let's go ahead and submit this. And then let's click into the CRM, and let's do a search for the order number. And then we can click straight into the order, and we can continue shopping and add sample product 3 to the cart and test our new deposit rule by clicking straight into the payment screen. And we can see our deposit rule is working correctly. We've got a total of $700. We've got the $600, which is 75% of the $800 subtotal, which is triggered by the set deposit with item rule. And then we've got another $100 added onto that $600, which was triggered by the add deposit with item rule. So there's one last thing we should take a look at, and let's go ahead and go back to Admin, Rules, General Rule Sets, and back into Deposit Rules in order to look at that. So we're going to add one more rule, and once again we're going to put it above Apply Deposit Override, and we're going to add Set Deposit with Category. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the order of these rules makes a difference in terms of how the system makes its calculations. So let's put 75 in this field, and let's go ahead and say anything from sample category 2 is going to trigger that $75 deposit. And then let's submit our changes, and let's go back into that same order and add something from sample category 2 to our cart. So then when we go to the payment screen, we should see a flat $75 deposit. And yep, that's what we see there. So if we go back into our deposit rules and we move this set deposit with category above add deposit with item, and then we submit our changes, we should see $175 as the deposit. Yep, there it is. And the reason why it's handling it that way is because of the order of these rules. So set deposit with item overrode our set deposit to rule, but because the set deposit with category rule is below the set deposit with item rule, that means it overrides the set deposit with item rule. Since add deposit with item only adds something to the previous calculations, as long as it's below the most recent set deposit rule, it's going to add to that deposit total if that item is placed in the cart. It isn't common to use all of these 3 rules together. Now, as always with rule sets and schedule profiles, we're talking about the plumbing that manages your pricing and other important aspects of your folder. So after you've begun your test orders, it's always a good idea to check in with the tech support department just to make sure that you did everything correctly. You can give them your folder name and the test order number that you were working with so that they can manipulate it a little bit, again, to double check that you did everything correctly. So that about does it for product-based deposit rules. I hope this was helpful. As always, anytime you're working in the system and you have questions, the knowledge base is your friend. And you can also access the knowledge base by clicking on this little floating help icon right here. And of course, the tech support department is always happy to help as well, and you can reach them at 505-435-9731, extension 102, or support@eventrentalsystems.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.